Alrighty. We click the button and we're over here now. So we're all set up.
Congratulations. Good job.
How you feeling?
Dual wielding computers. I'm doing so good. I'm doing so good.
Excellent.
I got Lucier batting her eyes at me from 5 feet away. It's great. Had somebody call in quote unquote sick to their very last shift at work last night. It was wonderful.
Oh yay.
I made people bag bread for free for 3 hours. It was great.
Oh. I tried very desperately to find an interior picture that I liked. And I probably searched for about an hour and I'm like, oh, this shit sucks, man. So I gave
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It's hard though because like when you add like monk and monastery, there's like a lot of like specific visuals that you'll want to add to that sort of thing. But it's more like medievally though, and like kind of monkish, and there's like a forest, so it's kind of foresty, and everything's like no, you cannot have that specific vision in mind. You can have all these generic things. I'm like I don't want the generic things.
Yeah.
Gave up.
Yeah. I mean, we're making up for it by not telling a generic story, so,
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that. We don't have a we don't have to do a full recap, but just so that we have some continuity to it, if you want to give us a flurry recap, where what were we up to?
uh, well, Flurry was having a small, definitely not problematic allergic reaction to the silver in their quarterstaff. Um, got slightly scolded for it, had a breakdown, and basically had most of my friends sent outside to defend the monastery, and then had to tell all of the secrets that Flurry doesn't really like talking about. Um, so there was a big old recap of what happened in season 1 that you guys should definitely have been here for. Um, but the gist being that uh, they set Kier free and have had some information since then. They took a trip to the Feywilds and had a magical golden sapling planted against their will. And uh, we had Dorlick and we had Arkers. And Arkers was the 12th key holder. And this is vastly out of order, but that's going to be how it is today. Um, Arkers came to the monastery hunting Flurry, and Drorlick was like, no, no, we're not doing that. I'll fight you. This is my student. And so they did. And then Arkers was like, yeah, okay. Um, After all the information was shared, Drorlick was like, we have an opportunity. You gotta let us in. That's not scary at all. Being vulnerable, letting people into your brain pan, not scary at all. But it happened and it worked because Golden Sapling still exists, was not cared for. Drilic did funky monk magic and cared for it. And um, basically there was a meteor shower, a blast of golden light, and now the monastery is protected as is Flurry. Uh, yeah, there was some additional help, and uh, there was also a big old reveal that Flurry doesn't know about yet. There's some people who know Flurry's true name? Question mark? True name now, and Flurry doesn't know that, but I know that. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, yeah. So
I believe that food was cooked afterwards. I don't know if it's been consumed yet.
I think where we're picking up today is sometime in that evening that would fit chronologically. So maybe some things are out of order, but the timeline will reunify. I also think the where we left off was guiding Drolik back to his room and getting people settled in for the night, having a bit of party time because a long rest is needed. You guys are over your sleep time already as it is. So
Yes.
I imagine this comes shortly after preparing the food, getting the people settled, and then revisiting um, Drolik having a chance to rest after getting up and down on a busted hip and knee.
Poor
uh,
guy.
Injured man. Um,
Yep, yep, yep.
but he's making rounds tonight. That's we have guests and we have survived a great danger.
Yes, indeed.
Um, so do you think Flurry would go and check on Drolik, or would you wait to be summoned, as it were?
Um, Flurry would wait to be summoned. They're feeling some kind of way about everything that happened, and they would wait to be summoned.
Being settled in an old space, it probably feels a little weird. Home has not been home for a little bit of time now, and you're a little bit, I mean, taller, more battle wise, and the building seems a little smaller than it was. Um, Many of the things are the same as they are in the monastery. There's not radical change that comes through. A lot of things are maintained through tradition, and there's a lot of that sort of ritual that happens. Things that get damaged do get replaced, but a lot of the times it's the same sort of colors and same sort of splashes. You can see that, you know, when you were playing pranks or running through the hallways, there's still very familiar dings and dents of people coming through, and just like a well-worn uh, house, almost this
Yeah,
monastery,
a bit like returning to a childhood home after many, many years away.
and it widely being the same.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the other monks, Faceless Jim, just someone else that you'd be like familiar with, an aide to Drolik. Well, he's a little less mobile, would come to your room and
Shylea.
the master is ready to see you. Sorry to disturb your sleep, but he said it was important.
Uh, Flurry probably wouldn't have appeared to be asleep. I would still be sitting up, but upon being spoken to, I would stand up and gesture for them to lead the way. If if it seems like they're going to lead the way,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'll follow them.
You are led to sort of the main master's quarters, as it was. Essentially, it is like a mini dojo. There's like the large one where there'd be many people being able to spar at one time. But Drolik kind of before his office, he has this circular square room that has sort of like a mini, like the mat is set up and it's got the doors that lead outside. It leads out towards the garden. And then he's got his office on the one side and like a bed chamber on the other. Being but led over to this sort of main wing.
Right.
You can see he is puttering around a little bit, shuffling on the cane still. You think, older human. It's probably been past his bedtime, but he's got a little bit of pep in his step, and whether I don't know, sleep rotations maybe, and he's just been a night owl. It's not real certain, but he is certainly like daytime active, trying to be quiet as he's moving around while people are resting. And he's got a few things sort of set abound in the middle of the room. It's like
Right.
small parchments. There's a bowl and water set up, and some stones that are laid out. You see a few things, and he kind of spins around and he says, "Ah, Flurry, thank you for coming. Come, come, come. Sit with me. Help me down."
I will help him down, and then I will also sit.
Two big sort of like floor pillows are there to sit
Yeah.
on, and it's
Yeah.
very obvious of like sit across from me, sort of thing.
Yeah. Flurry at this moment is thinking that Drurlick probably wanted to catch them before they ran off again. And that's why this is the middle of the night, not the next morning. But won't say that. We'll just. I've been summoned. I'm here to do what I'm told. I'll help you down. I'll sit down too. Very, very still.
I'm gonna ask for an insight check. There's a bit of a hard expression, serious and purposeful, but not in an angry way. Oh, weird. This roll 20 is fucking strange. Okay, but it shows over there fine. An 8. You're not sure if you're in trouble or like when the master calls you and it's very serious, it's usually when something's wrong or you've done something wrong, and you're getting a little bit of that vibe where it's like, oh shit, this isn't a is this friendly?
Well, and also like, in spite of everything that happened, I assume like an hour or two ago, there is all that shame is still fucking there. It's not gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying. They're trying very, very hard to contain it, but it is not gone.
He looks to you. I've done a great deal of thinking.
I nod.
I'm laid down to rest, but the body is restless, and I think it's time to act.
Nod again.
You were not the best student, but do you remember how this monastery was formed?
Do I remember?
Make a history check.
Gods, I'm so tired.
And I think there was a little bit of it's a lot of words, man. I just want to like learn some stuff and I want to do some stuff. That very like energetic younger self was not the best student.
No, I really never was. I turned into a person here, but I did have to be turned into a person.
there's a lot of tradition, but yeah, we don't really remember like an origin story.
I will shake my head.
As the story goes, many, many moons ago, before my predecessor's predecessor, there was no building here. There was just the forest. And there was an exile. Some of our records on who they were or why they were exiled has been left to interpretation. He rolls out an old sort of it's rolled up like a scroll, but it's not a scroll. Some kind of like wooden mat, as it were, something that might have been hanging on the walls, and it has a similar sort of feeling to some of the fibers that are used to make the wall. And on it, it's been mostly blackened, but there is a silhouette of a fighter of some sort. Um, a little androgynous, but you can see elven features in their form, and it gives a sort of striking, sort of black background with this sort of wood grained silhouette that kind of makes it look like a figure of light standing in darkness. There was an elven man who could no longer live in the Silver Strand. We have passed down the tradition of this figure's fighting style. This is where we learn to understand ki. This tradition passed from master to student. It's said that they could no longer live in the Strand, but wanted to remain a guardian for it. And during a time of great strife, they stood here and held their ground against dark forces. And so this monastery has stood at the edge of the Strand in protection of its people. Now,
Flurry will nod.
we don't necessarily. He smiles at you. We're not soldiers for the Strand. They have their own military might, and they have their own interests and their own protections. But the spirit of this remains true. We learn to defend ourselves, we learn to defend others. Our teachings are not meant to hunt or to harm. Not in the traditional sense of bounty hunters or such a thing. You can put yourself in dangerous situations and then defend yourself, but there's been this underlying purpose that's been behind the teachings.
Dorlock would see some shame creeping into Flurry's face. And hearing the words specifically harm and the mention of bounty hunting.
Hmm. He smiles at you. My master taught me a great many things. And you can see the look of remembering, being brought back to a time. That's sort of reminiscing. There was once a time I sat where you are, across from him. I was not a great student. I did not feel like a successor to his ideals. I wasn't a good fighter.
There's almost, like, not surprise. Flurry would have probably known, like, Drellick would likely have mentioned this before, of, like, not necessarily having been the best fighter or the best student, but it is still surprising to them given how they see Drorlick.
He pulls aside one of the boxes that are in front of him and he opens it. And it reveals tatty arm wraps. The fabric that would be pulled over your hands and up your arms when you're preparing for a fight. These were from my master. We saved them from members of our order who lay down their lives in great conflict because the fabric remembers. You can learn a lot about a person and the fighter based on what you see in these wraps. It begins to sort of lay them out in front of him, and you can see they're worn and tattered and frayed. There are stains on them even after being cleaned.
Well used.
Through the weave, you can see the story. From what I can tell, looking at the fabrics, you can see moments of haste, moments of damage and injury, moments of desperation. And he kind of runs the length of this. It takes a bit of time as he's sort of speaking and showing these nicks and frays.
Flurry's just watching silently.
He kind of folds them back up respectfully, places them back in the box. Opening the next, you can tell you've seen these arm wraps before. These are his. He pulls them out and runs them forward. And it's very different. These are not as worn. not as frayed. There are still areas of stress and damage and injury, uh, wraps that would be put on every day without fail. Routine, and dozens of students, probably bordering on maybe hundreds in his lifetime.
Absolutely. Knowing this man, he takes everyone in.
But there's a stark difference between the wear and the tear that you would notice in his bands. But he looks at them not with shame, but with fondness. Remembering your own story, you can just envision him remembering students. Some that have passed on, some that have left to go and find their own adventures. Some, maybe, not too dissimilar to yourself, that he hopes to see again.
Yeah.
There's that flicker of complex feeling. It's like remembering, but with sadness in a way. He folds them up again, lays them in the box, but doesn't close the lid, leaves it open. And then gestures for your hand.
Flurry will pause for a very, very long moment and then hold their hands out.
Grasping your hand, pulls you a little closer and begins to unwrap your arm.
Flurry is trembling. They would rewrap, but would not have really taken these off for any significant length of time in stars only knows how long.
Having taken the one off your primary hand, at least, you see he pulls it taut in front of him. And since it has been a little bit lacking of maintenance.
Yeah, maybe a little smelly.
From the road, from the campfires, from the places you've been and the fights you've been in. A little bit mirroring Flurry themselves. Some self-care being skipped.
Perhaps as a treat.
You see, he's studying these arm wraps that you wear. You can see the grime and the frays and the tears. A road map of all the battles and the places you've seen and the things that you've endured. There are frays and tears and mends as you have been on a path of
destruction,
strife. Destruction, strife, of hardship and burden. You see there's a bowl nearby, silverish in color. The same one that he had used for the wash of Lena when he was there. New water being in place. And he kind of pulls it towards him. And runs the length of the arm wrap through it. You see he's washing off some of the grime and some of the sweat, pulling it through, seeming to come clearer, but not quite as, I mean, still stained and worn as it was. But leaving behind the traces of
Blood.
other environments. Yeah, blood and dirt and sweat. And very sort of intentionally and carefully taking these fabrics and wiping them off.
Flurry's fur is like not quite standing on end, but it is definitely fluffier than it normally appears. It's almost like they have goosebumps. They can't feel the wraps going through the water, but it's like a phantom sense. They see the level of care and they can feel it.
Wet now, he kind of lets it run the length in front of him. And it's quiet for some time, kind of studying, and you can see there's areas that have had to been maybe sewn back together or have been left a little frayed from the claws, the daggers, the spears, and the strikes that Flurry has kind of gone through. And it is worse for wear than even his masters as it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
He looks down at this and says, in not so many words, this is your journey. He runs his fingers across some of the frayed edges, holes that were poked through. These bindings, they remember every strike you've laid into them.
Flurry nods. Flurry remembers every strike as well.
You walk a path one that differs from my own. But there comes to be a time in a man's life when he has to think of the future.
Flurry will stiffen.
He smiles at you. You can see the gray in the hair and on the beard. Hmm. There are times we need to think about successors. Pulling out another box, a splash of color gets drawn out.
What color?
A nice, brilliant orange. This is a thread woven ribbon. Kind of thin, but would be used to typically tie off an arm wrap. Or something that would be decorated on a quarterstaff. You have purpose. You have a reason to travel. You have a reason to battle. You have unfinished business. But when that's done, I want to give purpose after.
If you thought that Flurry was trembling before, they're trembling violently now.
In your hands, he places this ribbon. And you can see it is something woven, just threads after threads. This would have had to have been handmade through hours of labor.
I don't quite take it. I just hold it out there in my hands. Just holding it out in front of me. Not quite as if it would bite me, but almost. I will also make really intense eye contact with the master.
The last time we spoke, you were haunted by the things that chased you, burden that you carried. And as you said, you left for our benefit. I understand that these burdens are not yet relieved. I want to give you all that we can from the order. The challenge that I'm going to give you is something I was not able to complete. He thinks about it for a moment, and I should try again, though. Looking at you, he says, smiles, and he says, I think I found the purpose that I was lacking. I could not complete this ritual and see the creations that my master had because I lacked. It's not motivation and it's not will. It is purpose. I didn't find a reason to fight the world around me. I knew the steps, I knew the stances, I could see the times to strike and to block, to weave through. But I didn't have a reason to strike out against the world. My master called me soft. He thought that one day a great darkness would come and that I would be ill equipped to deal with it. And in my long time here, I never came across such darkness. The doom and the threats of my master's time were things of the past. But I believed that in our own ways, I could still prepare the next generation to deal with whatever darkness they needed to. And I could see the dark in some folks that wandered through here. But I had hoped through kindness I could show them the light. That it could be softer. Not every fight required fist or foot.
Flurry's just motionless, still holding out the thread, still looking into Dorlick's eyes, listening intently, but has not moved.
You possess a spirit to go and find the dark, to battle it in its shadows, and to resist it as you have when you first entered my doors. You have a purpose. And
Flurry still doesn't move.
I believe when your mission is completed, that you will have the wisdom to lead the next generation. The next box in front of him, he slides towards you, pulling the lid off. You see there is a dark green thread and a loom. This is the first of your tasks. It is a test of patience. The thread is small and the needle sharp, and to endlessly loop back and forth thousands of times, it takes time and patience. But at the end, He points to the orange ribbon in your hand. It will teach you to be still. It will reinforce your repetition. And that patience and that determination will be put in those threads.
Lori will just whisper, "What determination?"
Hmm. Looking at you, Rolik. Yips a little bit. How you've used your key is strictly that. Something you've thought about, you've activated, you've used for a purpose or an action. What you've been taught is how to focus your energies inwards and utilize the power that's there. Increasing the speed of your movements, the ferocity of your strikes, but it's time to learn how to push your intention and your spirit outwards. You seem disheartened that the goal you have or the fight you will participate in is impossible. I understand through Arkers, through seeing what was in his mind, what you face. In order to strike out at the darkness, you need to protect yourself. You need to strike out at the immaterial. And you need to endure in places the sun does not reach. There are 3 trials to perform to enhance the wraps we make, so that it may interface with the soul, and you can reach out and take or wound someone else's key. Or you can take their willpower, their determination, and use it as a force for yourself. This ritual has only been passed from master to student, from master to successor. And while you may feel that your limitations prevent you from reaching higher, I can see the potential. And I trust you with this knowledge, this ritual. It may very well be the hardest thing you've ever had to do.
There's a flicker of disbelief in Flurry's eyes.
Reaching down, uncovering a bell. There's a soft chime in the air, and he holds it out in front of you. Strike the bell, but don't allow it to ring.
Flurry will stare at the bell for a minute. Just thinking, just looking. And then I will take a deep breath. I'll set down the ribbon that I was still holding out. And I will strike the bell.
Give me a sleight of hand check. You strike out at the bell, trying to hit it accurately and softly, enough to fulfill the requirement, but not so hard as to ring it. And there's still that lazy little clang of the metal inside as it chimes.
Flurry's not used to striking things gently.
He sets the bell down. Another bowl in front of you is kind of scooched towards. There's a flat river stone and a thin layer of water. He gestures towards it and says, "Strike the stone."
I will do so.
Give me an athletics check. You're able to strike the water's surface down to the stone. You feel your knuckle kind of crack into it slightly. There's a little bit of that sloshing around from the water, that force of impact, and quick motion disturbing the surface as the bowl clatters a little bit. He nods. This is a task. This is the trial of 100 strikes.
Flurry
Warriors.
would recognize that as a lot of strikes to hit.
hmm Warriors love impact. Their ferocity causing savage wounds. Force is the result of power. Power comes in many forms. Fear can make you powerful. Anger can make you powerful. Desperation can grant power. You must learn the difference between violence and intention. When you lash out at something, what is the intention behind the strike? To cause harm, to disable, to deter. If the strike is the same in those three scenarios, how does the outcome differ?
Flurry just looks down at the ground.
To get to the stone, you must break through the water. Your intention is not to harm the water, but to reach the stone. You must strike with enough force to get through the resistance, but not strike hard enough to break the bowl. Allowing anger to seep through, you may break the stone beneath. But your goal or objective is to touch the stone. To reach it without damaging everything. The bell strung on a tree must be hit with open palm, closed fist, elbow, staff. It's only when you can control each motion through intention can you strike the bell with precision and care without so much force to knock the ringer.
You've cut out.
To knock the ringer. This is precision, but it displays intention and will. Do you strike out simply to cause harm? Or is there reason behind it?
Looking into Flurry's face, it would be crystal clear that Flurry has derailed from the path drastically. It started, there was reasoning, but more recently, they just needed to fight. They wanted to fight. They chose their battles to be the ones that wouldn't harm civilians, but underneath it was just to fight, just to destroy, just harm. They have a lot of shame about that too.
These trials were ones that I could complete. The last is the most difficult. The binding vow, as they call it, are words you speak to the raps. They don't respond to the words themselves, but the truth beneath them. The purpose of why you wear them. Hatred leaves sharp edges in key. The raps can carry such power, but they become hungry for conflict. One who wears them can find stillness harder to reach. During the night of a full moon, a new moon. During the light of a new moon, is there a chance to make a new promise, a new path, new purpose? It may take many moons for the vow to be heard. But once there is intention, once there is purpose, power can be wielded more freely.
Clary's just going to continue looking at the ground for the moment.
A new moon comes. And you can see at this point he's wrapping his arm wraps around his dominant fighting hand, his right hand. As he sort of reaches at the end. He takes a breath, and from his pocket he pulls a like sapphire blue ribbon from his pocket. And he looks at it. I have found a purpose for my vow. I might not succeed, but it is worth trying.
Flurry just sits there and watches him.
You can see blue is not his color. And if he handed a completed ribbon to you, this likely came from his master. He tugs it underneath the wrappings, and at the very end, where it's sort of the loosest, he wraps it around once and sort of ties it off with the ribbon. These trials are ones that might take an entire lifetime. But there is no such thing as failure. You can stumble. You can.
Flurry shrinks back when you say the word failure.
You can stumble. You can follow the wrong path. You can lose your way, but as long as you live, there's always possibility. And if you take care of yourself, at this point, he's going to squeeze your wrist.
That shit is bony.
If you take care of yourself, you can accomplish more than you might think is possible.
Flurry will nod, but there is an element of they're going with what their master says, not that they actually believe it.
He begins to fold up your arm wrap that has been left to dry for a moment. He scans over the weak points, as it were, the frays and the tears. Do you think this is beyond repair?
Flurry will just look at it. much of it can certainly be mended. They're still usable. Tools that are only partially broken are still tools. Out loud, they'll say, the past can't ever fully be undone.
With a nod and a smile. That is true. But just as bones break and flesh tear, it can grow and repair twice as strong. The question becomes, with lessons learned from the past, what you do with it in the future. He hands the wraps back to you.
I'll take them, start winding them back around my hands.
Training's in the morning. You better be there for roll call. You see a little bit of a smirk on his face. He's looking at you as he's kind of struggling to stand up.
I'll give him a boost up. There's just thoughts in flurry space. I don't return the smirk.
From his belt, he pulls a little satchel that you had prepared. He puts it in your hand. Take the loom. The other trials come after. Rest for the night. You can see he wants to tell you not to run off. But he doesn't.
He would just hear a whispered why. Why?
And feel his hand sort of grip yours for a moment longer as he's passing the satchel.
The same question just keeps poking. Why? Why? It's been made abundantly clear that Dorlick cares, that he still cares about Flurry, that for some reason he trusts Flurry. With this too, this was not anywhere in the realm of possibility of Flurry's viewpoint. They How is he still like this? How, after everything, is he still this way? They're undeserving of the title student, let alone predecessor. They don't understand. And they don't see his vision. They don't think they can do it.
The question of why. Kind of grabs your shoulders and looks you in the eyes. You have so much potential. I can see I've always known you were meant for more. You are good. And you see he goes to say, you are good, Flurry. Regardless of choice, regardless of burden, you are good.
Those words are like a physical blow. And Flurry will shake their head. No. Even unbound, I don't learn. I still dance to his tune. He doesn't make me. But it's only one song I know how to dance to anymore. I am what he's made me. I'm the plaything that he wanted.
Don't believe that. If that were true, why do you resist? And he gestures to your staff. Why do you gather? Why do you struggle? If there's nothing
Tears.
more, why would you persist?
Tears will slide out of Flurry's eyes. Even that. I had to be out of the way for months. What better way to then a rumor of a rumor on the other side of the ocean, wreaking havoc while I was away. Still his dance, regardless.
Then you stay. He squeezes your shoulders for a moment. A new moon comes. What better time to be a new you? You don't walk alone. If it's a dance, then have a partner.
So he can hurt them too. He There was another Hidozi, Rothan. I called him brother. But his true sister was murdered for their connection to me. I attract pain to those around me.
His sins, his choices, are not your responsibility.
I set him free. Knowing what would happen, if not the details.
And since we can't change the past, you can see there's resolve on Drolik's face. He's empowered by the discussion where you're having. Like his mind is made up. All we can do is look to the future. If you feel guilty about releasing him and cannot seek peace until this is righted, we will seal him. And I think it's the we that may float in the air a bit longer.
Uh-huh. Flurry will just look up at Drorlick. We?
If a student comes and their burden is too heavy, how could I not bear the weight with them? If the dark is too deep alone, I will bring a torch. And as my student sometimes disregards my counsel, this is not something I will bend to. If you have lost your way, I will show you the path. That is what you mean to me.
That blast. Flurry will start crying. They almost buckle, but they stay on their feet. And Feywild's magic be Feywild's magic, yo.
kind of pulls you in, props you up on his shoulder. I believe you are worth it. I am an old man, but I'm practiced. I have a reason to fight. So I will.
Flurry is just on a roller coaster. They have been repressing and suppressing and bottling emotions for so long, and the floodgates opened, and they're not used to this anymore. It does not happen very frequently. It would be obvious that they're like struggling with themselves and trying to contain all of the many, many emotions. They're failing.
Kind of pats you on the back. It's been a lot tonight. You need to rest. I need to rest. Think about what we've discussed tonight. New Moon is in like 2 weeks, right? Timekeeper.
Give me 5 seconds.
I'm pretty sure because if it was 19 days and we've traveled for like 6 days, it should be like 2 weeks.
No, that's the next full moon.
That's full moon. New moon is not immediately after, is it? I don't know moon cycles, homie.
New moon is in like 2 days.
Oh shit! Perfect.
Max. I need to math, but it is very soon. Wait, because they get bitten on the 12th. They go through the night and stop at the waist up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's the 14th right now. Early 15th. New moon is the 16th.
Wow, what good timing.
You're welcome for that.
Hey.
Flurry will presumably help Drorlick to wherever he's resting for the night.
Yeah, kind of shuffle him through the square room to his bed chambers, as it were.
Yeah.
You can see the drawers are opened and things are pulled off the shelf, and uh, a frenzy to gather some of the materials that he presented to you tonight.
Of course.
He lays down in his bed with the arm wrap still on. I didn't think I would ever wear. Kind of rubs the dark blue ribbon. I didn't think I would ever wear my master's ribbon. I knew you would wear mine. But the moon will tell if my vow is true or not.
A heavy burden.
But I know it's right. So we'll try again. Hold your hand for a moment as he's laying down. Sleep well.
Rest well and wake, Master. DM, is there a window in this chamber?
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Flurry will back out of the chamber. Close the door. I assume that I have been given a room and I'm not going there. I am going outside.
Well, from the this kind of mini dojo floor square area that you're in, there's just big double doors that are open to the garden, so you can just walk on out.
That's what I'm doing. I'm not leaving the monastery, but a lot of words were said, a lot of things were felt. And Flurry will deal with it the only way that they know how anymore, which is to dance, fight the shadows, spin and twist and flip, swing with their quarterstaff. Until they drop. And when they drop, there they will sleep.
Soft, wet ground of the gardens.
Absolutely, in full view of everybody, and Flurry has not even thought about it.
Excellent. And that's where we'll end for today. Yay! Pew, 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 pew. Trying to see.
What are you trying to see?
I'm not on my computer, and this computer is weird. There we go. Who is sniffing me? Hello? It's a dangle thing. Weird.
The dangle thing?
There's some hairy chair thing that's touching me.
I see. I have been asked what you're trying to find.
Nothing. I just sent it to you. Through the power of Lucier's Discord.
Oh, interesting.
This is essentially what I've given you the blueprints for. Whether or not Flurry can do it, we don't know. We'll find out.
Uh-huh. How many things can I have attuned at once? Because I might be over that limit.
Technically, 3. I think 3 is the default.
Yeah, I think I'm technically already over that limit. Oopsies.
That's all right. Obviously, they're not ready yet, but this is the framework that can be tweaked a little bit. But the coolest monk item in the game is this because it's a legendary.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty thematic, you know. Also, trying to take on a Elder Archfey, you need something pretty strong.
You don't say.